For a few weeks in spring, Romans celebrate the incoming fresh vegetables by making a dish called vignarola. Now, it's a brothy concoction of fava beans, spring peas, and, of course, artichokes. It can be thick, like a stew, or brothy and served over pasta, but Becky has a fresh and very quick version that's really going to highlight the freshness of this dish.
That's right. We're going to do a really nice springtime braise, and we're going to cook all the vegetables perfectly.
Lovely.
So let's start with some vegetable prep. We have 4 3-ounce little baby artichokes. Aren't these adorable?
They're adorable.
So we're going to take off just the end here. We want to leave about a 3/4 inch stem on the end. I'm going to lop off the top quarter here. And you just want to peel off these dark outer leaves starting at the bottom because these are tough.
They are tough. I mean, it's a thistle.
Yeah, I don't know how people ever discovered that these were edible.
Who was the first person?
You just work slowly. We're going to take off 3 or 4 layers here.
Okay.
Anything that's dark green has to go. Okay, so now you can see we're getting to the nice tender part. You can tell, see how it turns a little bit yellow there?
Sure does.
We'll get rid of that one that has a little bit of darkness on it. And I'm just going to use my paring knife. I want to pare away this dark, tough area on the stem.
Using a paring knife as a paring knife.
That's right.
Not as a peeler.
You could use a peeler
Yep.
if you found it a little tricky to use a paring knife. So that's nice and clean. We've taken off all the tough outer layer.
Great.
And we're going to cut this in quarters. And that's ready to go. So I have 2 quarts of water over here, and you'll see that there's a lemon in there. And I squeezed that lemon in earlier to make the water acidulated. That's because the artichokes will oxidize almost instantly.
They do.
The lemon juice will prevent them from turning brown and keep them nice and pretty.
And add a little bit of lemon flavor.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a total of 4 baby artichokes in there. They're about 3 ounces each.
Okay.
So let's move on to our next veggie, fava beans.
You don't see them very much.
No, you don't. They're a little bit hard to find. This is what they look like fresh in a pod here.
Beautiful.
And we're just going to strip them out of the pod. You just dig right in there, and they pop right out. And kind of slide your hand down the seam there. So we want a pound of these. These are going to give some heft to our dish. The fava beans have protein in them, and they're a little bit meaty in texture, a little bit dense. Now, if you can't find fresh fava beans, it's fine to use frozen.
Okay.
And so 1 pound of favas in the shell is going to equal about 1 cup shelled.
Okay.
So speaking of shells, I just went through all that work, and these actually have one more little outer skin here.
They do.
A lot of times you'll see recipes where you have to slip off this outer skin.
It's like a membrane on the outside.
Yeah, it's not easy to do. I don't want to have to do that entire bowl.
You do not.
So we were happy to find that just by blanching the favas in a baking soda solution, just for a minute or 2, softens that outer skin enough so it's totally tender.
That's great.
So I have 2 cups of water boiling here. And I'll add in a teaspoon of baking soda.
Okay.
And that's enough to tenderize the skins without giving the beans a soapy taste.
Okay.
We'll put these in here for 1 or 2 minutes. And we're going to see the edges of the beans start to darken. They might turn a little bit purple. That's because we raised the pH of the water.
I see.
That's totally normal.
Okay.
Okay, so it's been about 2 minutes. You can see some of them, like this little guy here, starting to turn a little bit dark in color.
A little bit purple, yeah?
Yep. So I'm going to ask you, if you would, to drain these and give them a really good rinse. That's going to stop the cooking and wash off all that baking soda.
All right, rinse under cold.
All right, so let's continue on getting our braise going here.
All right.
I have a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil heating up over medium heat. And here is 1 leek, just the white and the light green part. I got rid of the dark green. We sliced these thin and washed them really, really well because, as you know, leeks can be super, super dirty.
Sure can.
So you can see our oil is starting to shimmer nicely there.
Seeing a little bit of shimmer.
So let's put the leeks in.
That's a good sound.
Always a nice sound. Teaspoon of salt. And I'm also adding a tablespoon of water. We don't want these to brown. We're going to let these cook until they soften. That's going to take about 3 minutes.
All right. Now, often when we cook onions, or in this case leeks, we'll add some salt right at that time when we add them to the skillet. And it's because the salt helps to break down the cell walls of the onions or leeks, and it softens them even faster.
Those are nice and soft. They look great.
Beautiful.
Smell great. Now I'm going to add 3 cloves of minced garlic.
Okay.
I'll just cook this for about 30 seconds. Start to smell it almost right away.
Right away.
Now we're cooking. So now let's add our artichokes. They take the longest to cook, so we're going to get these in the pot first. Just want to drain off that water. And now I have a cup of chicken broth. You could also use vegetable broth. Either one's totally fine.
The aromas that just erupted in the test kitchen, just crazy.
So nice. I just turned down the heat to medium-low. We're going to let this cook for 6 to 8 minutes until the artichokes are just about tender.
Okay.
So we'll put the lid on. Let's move on to the asparagus.
Okay.
We have a pound of asparagus. A lot of people take the asparagus and they snap off the end, right?
Did it for years.
Recently we found that all you really need to cut off is that bottom inch. And you can see that it starts to get nice and tender right there.
Exactly. Beautiful.
So we can line this up and use it as a guide. These all came from the same bunch, so we can assume that's good for all of them. Now we're gonna cut these in 2-inch lengths, just a little bit on the bias.
In the spring, when you get your hands on the vegetables and they're at their best, it's a game changer.
Oh, it is. Such a delight.
It is a delight.
Speaking of delights, I have a pound of fresh peas. You can use frozen, but if you find the fresh ones, there's nothing like them. These are kind of like the favas. You just have to get in there, split open that pod. So again, a pound in their shells is gonna yield about a cup. So our peas are all set. Let's take a look at our artichokes. They've been going for about 6 minutes. They're not fully tender, but they're getting there.
Okay.
They're close. So let's put in our peas. Again, that was a pound of peas. And our asparagus. Now these don't take that long to cook. That's why we're adding them in stages here.
Okay.
These are going in at the end. Give that a little stir.
This is beautiful.
All right, so we'll put the lid back on. We'll let this go for about 5 minutes longer till everything's nice and tender.
Okay.
All right, let's take a look here. It's been about 5 minutes.
It gets better and better every time you open up the skillet.
The last thing to add is our fava beans. These
Okay.
are the ones that we blanched for a couple minutes. And these just need to kind of warm through. They take about 2 minutes to get tender.
Okay.
So we'll stir those in and we'll put the lid back on just until the favas and the artichokes are fully tender.
Okay.
All right, so it's been 2 minutes. Ooh, beautiful. Everything's nice and tender, so I'm gonna kill the heat and I'm gonna just take this off the heat. I don't want it to cook anymore. I don't want anything to get overdone. It'll turn gray.
Okay.
Let's liven it up with some fresh herbs.
All right.
I have 2 tablespoons of basil that's nice and thinly sliced. Tablespoon of fresh mint that's minced up. 2 teaspoons of lemon zest, and that'll really add some nice brightness.
It's an orchestra of spring and summer even aromas in here. Literally licking my chops right now.
Okay, let's get this on a platter.
That is insanely beautiful.
How is that for a nice springtime lunch or light dinner?
That is gorgeous.
That's all you need, right?
Ugh.
All right, let me give you a nice serving here.
Ugh.
Got the artichokes, the favas,
Everything I want in a bowl.
more extra virgin olive oil. That's just gonna add a little bit of richness. If this tastes as good as it smells and it looks, we're gonna be in business here.
Even halfway as good as it looks
Oh,
and
I know.
smells.
Everything is perfectly cooked. So tender, right?
I'm saying nothing. Everything is beautiful.
You're speechless.
I am. The artichokes are still really, really creamy and tender.
And the fresh basil and mint really livens it up.
This really is a celebration of spring vegetables. Thank you, Becky.
You're very welcome.
Well, this beautiful spring vegetable braise starts with a little prep. Trim, quarter, then submerge baby artichokes in lemon water. Shell and simmer fresh fava beans with baking soda and then rinse. Saute leeks and garlic, add the artichokes and broth and simmer. Cut asparagus and add to the broth along with fresh shelled peas. Stir in fava beans, then finish with basil, mint, and lemon. So from our test kitchen to your kitchen, a beautiful spring vignerola or fava beans with artichokes, asparagus, and peas. Beautiful.
Thanks for watching America's Test Kitchen. What'd you think?
Well, leave a comment and let us know which recipes you're excited to make, or you can just say hello.
You can find links to today's recipes and reviews in the video description.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
See you later.
I'll see you later.